Just now, Tesla made a huge announcement. It's officially confirmed that their next-gen V4 supercharger cabinet will be capable of 500 kilowatt charging speeds for cars and 1.2 megawatts for the semi. V3 superchargers can only charge at 250, so this is twice as fast. The deployments will also be faster. V4 cabinets power 8 posts, twice the stalls per cabinet, so lower footprint and complexity equals more sites coming online faster, designed to be the most reliable on the planet with 3 times power density, enabling higher throughput with lower cost. Today we also have more big news. Check this out. Elon Musk is basically saying that the following is a game changer. He reposted this post on X from Omar. Omar recorded a 4-hour zero intervention drive on the latest FSD version, and this one has end-to-end highways, which is legit. He says this is a game changer for road trips. And this release is going wide as long as you have AI 4. Tesla's Ashok is saying that highway driving should be smoother, more natural, and even safer than the previous explicit control stack. The old version was definitely quite mechanical on highways, and it was great, but this must be quite a bit better. When it comes to city driving, going from the old stack to end-to-end driving, the difference was day and night, and I think we will see a very similar thing here. So I do agree with Elon Musk that this is likely indeed a game changer for road trips. And speaking about the biggest Elon Musk related announcements and measuring their impact over the next 24 months, this is by far, I believe, the biggest one in Elon Musk's career. This is officially official. This is an announcement that Elon Musk indeed will be leading the Department of Government Efficiency together with Vivek Ramaswamy. I believe that James leans left, and yet he thinks this is incredibly bullish for all of America, and I definitely agree. This is going to be incredible for America, Elon Musk's companies, including X, SpaceX, Neuralink, the Boring Company, as well as Tesla. The automobile industry has so many regulations. It's regulations stacked on top of regulations on top of regulations, so it will be easier to manufacture cars going forward after Elon Musk is done with this. I think many thought that Elon Musk will spend 4 years in the government or working with the government. Actually, he will spend less than 2 years. He will finish all of his work before July 4th of 2026. The new administration is calling this the modern day Manhattan Project. It will slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies. Elon Musk is convinced that we either get the government efficient or America goes bankrupt. That's what it comes down to. Wish I were wrong, he says, but it's true. Oh, knowing what happened to Twitter, this hits hard. This is basically an email, let's call it, from Elon Musk to everyone in the government. What did you get done this week? There will be massive cuts, just like what Elon Musk has done with X, cutting 80% of the workforce. And despite that, I go on X every single day and it just works just like it did before. It's all fine and good. Except now you don't really need to be worried about being censored or deplatformed. Wow, Gordon Johnson finally came out of hiding. This is effectively a joke, he says, about the DOGE department, and a huge blow to Musk and Vivek. That is, if you read the fine print, this new DOGE department will provide advice and guidance from outside the government. Glorified consultants, basically, he calls this new department quasi-fake office. On X, this is the official Department of Government Efficiency account, and you can see that it has this gray badge, which normally used to be just for government accounts. But check this out. Now it can also be a multilateral organization account, not just a government account. I personally think the reason why it was done this way is so that Elon Musk does not need to divest his money, time, and attention away from his current companies like Tesla, SpaceX, XAI, X, of course, the Boring Company, Neuralink. There would be quite a few potential conflict of interest issues if it wasn't set up exactly like this, but now it's basically giving Elon Musk a way to execute without really having to divest his time and money away from his companies. So Elon Musk will not hold an official federal position and will provide advice and guidance from outside of government. They will not be bound by the disclosure and divestment requirements of the Federal Advisory Committee Act, which normally governs these type of appointments. The Federal Advisory Committee Act mandates specific guidelines for external groups offering advice to the government, ensuring transparency and public oversight. The structure allows Musk to avoid resigning from Tesla and SpaceX and avoid federal conflict of interest rules that could have mandated divestiture of his holdings. And to those who are familiar with how the government works, this comes as no surprise. It's exactly as expected, which includes Gary Black as well. The DOGE department will work on things like this, and some of the stuff, like Elon Musk just said here, is outright evil. In 2020, the US government spent $4.5 million to spray alcoholic rats with bobcat urine. In 2019, the US government spent $500,000 to see if quails were more sexually active on drugs. The future does feel like a dream. The future is going to be amazing, and Elon Musk is certainly going to make sure that it will be amazing. Currently, there are well over 400 federal agencies in the US, depending on what you count as an agency. Elon Musk thinks that the number should be closer to 99, so a lot of cuts are going to be made. Some big drastic cuts, not just some tiny ones. Going forward, not only do I expect Elon Musk to work closely with the government, reducing a lot of these regulations and cutting out entire departments, maybe merging some of them, reducing a lot of the waste, but also I expect him to comment on pretty much every major political issue and show his opinion to all of us. Basically what he's doing here, this is about who is going to be the Senate Majority Leader, but I think largely we will see many funny stories about what kinds of things were cut or are going to be cut. Check this out. $1.5 million were spent by the US government studying the effects of yoga on goats. Is this real? I definitely agree with Farzad here. If you are a Tesla investor, you know the insane amount of noise one has to sift through when following the company and Elon Musk, and DOGE will be like that, but times 100, because now all of America is going to be watching Elon Musk, not just investors and some of the media. The counterintuitive thing about making things more efficient is that it requires chaos, and in the beginning Twitter was full of chaos, and now it's pretty good. Everyone knows that the government is super inefficient. Folks get paid way too much to do almost nothing. It's almost impossible to get fired, and there's little to no accountability. It moves at a snail's pace. There's no gradual approach. You just have to rip the band-aid off, and you have to do it very quickly. I think the reason why Elon Musk is given less than 2 years is because they want to have progress to show for before the next election for the House. And ideally, the outcome from all of this is the government working like SpaceX or like Tesla. Imagine the equivalent of our government catching a 20-story tall rocket right out of the air using mechanical chopsticks. That should have been done by the US government, not Elon Musk. That's how behind the US government is. Elon Musk being involved in all of this, I see that as incredibly bullish for the United States of America. It's going to start the golden age of the USA. At this point, there's almost nothing that the opposing party can do to stop Elon Musk or the new administration, because not only was the presidency won, the House was won, the Senate was won, the popular vote was won. And this shows shift in margin, meaning compared to the previous election, are people voting more right or left? So even if your area still voted more for the candidate on the left, maybe they voted less this time, and this time maybe they voted more right. This shows that very clearly the absolute majority of the country voted more right compared to the previous election. The mandate is very clear. I've seen some people say that the president-elect is going to turn on Elon Musk, but here's the most recent statement about Elon Musk from the president-elect. Elon Musk is a great guy, loaded with personality and brain power. He is definitely a high IQ person, which is the reason that his really strong endorsement meant so much to me and to MAGA. He is at a beautiful Mar-a-Lago concert right now, and the crowd absolutely loves him. Thank you, Elon, for the great job you did in helping us win the most consequential election in 129 years, especially your hard work in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It will never be forgotten. Does that sound like a statement from someone that is about to stab Elon Musk in the back immediately? Definitely doesn't sound like that to me. Elon Musk also commented on this post. BBC is asking, why is Elon Musk becoming Donald Trump's efficiency czar? Unless we do something about the rapidly rising national debt, America will go bankrupt. This is a severe crisis. Our interest payments at quarter of national tax revenue, already exceed our military expenditures, and are headed towards absorbing all tax revenue. Acquiring Twitter, that was really just a practice run for Elon Musk for what's about to come with his government role. The excess government spending is what causes inflation. All government spending is taxation. This is a very important concept to appreciate. I think many people don't really fully understand that. It is either direct taxation like income tax or indirect via inflation due to increasing the money supply. It seems like Elon Musk has already made his first major move. The DOGE department, Biden-Harris spent $42.5 billion for rural internet service. 3 years later, not one person is connected. DOGE should look into this, and Elon Musk replied with, that program has achieved nothing. Deleted. Elon Musk then further commented on the specific issue. Steven said here, pigs with their snouts in the trough are going to be real mad when the grift is up. Big time, agrees Elon Musk. The big government machine is indeed afraid. Elon Musk now has quite a few enemies, and I think it's important for them to understand that you will not find a better friend than me, but also a worse enemy than Elon Musk. If the current administration that's leaving the office right now, if they did not go after Elon Musk, maybe they would still be in power. I doubt it, but certainly there would have been a much bigger chance that they stay in power. Interestingly, Mark Cuban has deleted all of his expos about the candidate for president who failed. Dylan Loomis put together a quick list of things that the government spends ridiculous amounts of money. For example, the CBO revealed at least 1,200 federal programs and bureaus have expired authorizations, but they still received $500 billion in funding for 2024. The Department of the Treasury reported that $24.5 billion was spent on unreconciled transactions, meaning we don't know what it was spent on. And putting together all of the transgender monkey research, turns out the US government spent $33 million on that. And then part of a $2.7 million grant was spent to study Russian cats walking on a treadmill. What? Okay, now this one is a bit confusing. The US Agency for International Development spent $6 million to promote tourism in not the US, Egypt. And things like this are very common. The US military bought soap dispensers for aircraft at over 80 times the commercial price. And here's a chart showing how much the US government spends on debt service compared to defense. And you can see that recently it became an equal amount. This is ridiculous. And it's very obvious that Elon Musk is spending quite a bit of time with president-elect. I'm also really happy to see that the transition of power is going smoothly. If it didn't, this would put Elon Musk in a lot of trouble. And here's Elon at Mar-a-Lago. He's definitely spending a lot of time with president-elect. If you are wondering why Tesla stock is doing what it's doing today, I think it's largely because of this. The new administration is aiming to kill the $7,500 EV tax credits, but you have to keep in mind that globally in 2023, fossil fuel companies collected $7 trillion in subsidies. In the US, the fossil fuel industry collected $750 billion in subsidies. And likely a lot of these subsidies are going to be killed by the DOGE department, which would level the entire playing field. And I said before that if these credits are going to be eliminated in the short term, it's going to be not great for Tesla's stock price, which will present us with a buying opportunity. But in the long term, I see that as very good news because that slows all of the competition down because they are not making any money. So now they will be losing even more money, but Tesla is profitable anyway. Tesla doesn't need this, so Tesla will have a bigger market share percentage. And like I said before, if you are thinking of buying an EV, you better hurry up if you want to get that credit because it may not be around here for long. And by the way, the elimination of the subsidy is directly supported by Tesla representatives. Elon Musk and Tesla, they play the long game, not the short term. In the short term, of course, not great. Long term, definitely good for Tesla. Getting back to Elon Musk and the government and the changes happening right now in the US, I wouldn't have expected this to happen so quickly. There's a famous politician in the US, AOC, who just removed her pronouns from her bio on X. Old bio, new bio. What? A hotel owner tears down Tesla chargers in frustration over Musk's politics? We no longer support Elon Musk in any way, the hotel owner noted. I'm sure this will help his customers a lot. Wait, this is not even in the US. This is in Germany. Okay. It's a bit funny to watch reactions like that or reactions like this. Don Lemon quits exciting lack of honest debate. Seriously? Now that people can actually say what they think on X compared to before, where if you said something, you would be blocked or banned. For example, Jordan Peterson was suspended on Twitter and there was no way for him to get back on there unless he agreed that what he said before was wrong. Otherwise, he couldn't get back on there. Now you don't have that problem anymore. You can actually just say what you think. And not only does it help X, it actually pushes that towards other platforms as well. On YouTube, I really think that there's a bit less censorship now compared to before. It still exists, but it's definitely a bit better. I so strongly disagree with James here. Trump killing the $7,500 tax credit is now bullish. Stop the nonsense. For 30% of Tesla's existing US sales volume, price will increase by $7,500. Same will be true for plug-in hybrids and other EVs, but EV share penetration is single digits in the US, as is plug-in hybrid EV share. The competition is not EVs, it is ICE. Eliminating the $7,500 tax credit only helps ICE. This is true only in the short term. In the long term, it is very clear where we are going, and we are going fully 100% electric. So if our market share improves right now, in the long term, that will be a huge win for Tesla. Not so much for a faster transition to EVs, but a win for Tesla in the long term. Absolutely 100% yes, without any doubt. If you think that that's not the case, I would assume that your investment horizon is nowhere near 10 years. And in that case, yes, you would be right. If you only have an investment horizon of, let's say, 1 or 2 years, definitely I don't see how that would be bullish. But in the long term, higher market share for Tesla means more sales for Tesla, because 100% of the sales eventually will be EVs, or very close to 100%. So it's not so much that we disagree here with each other. The real thing that's happening here is we just simply have very different time investment horizons. And look at what we are hearing from Wall Street analysts now. Can you imagine hearing something like this just 3 years ago? No chance you would hear something like this. Dan Ives says that Tesla robotaxis, that happening is just a matter of when and not if. And he believes that the new administration is only going to accelerate it. Anyway, I've been saying this since basically my first video here on YouTube, but only now analysts are catching up to it. And certainly not all analysts, only a few of them like Dan Ives. Then there's ARK Invest, but they have been saying that for a long time now. But Dan Ives says it's a new golden era for AI, and Tesla stands to be a major winner in the autonomous future. Elon Musk now gets a big seat at the table in the administration of the president. Ron Barron has made some very good Tesla stock calls. He was actually on TV today talking about Tesla. His track record of 32 years has produced a return of nearly 15%, which is ridiculously high, beating the market by about 50% each year on average. And earlier this year, when Tesla stock was trading at about $160, he said it's going to go up huge. Now is the bottom. And when he said that, Tesla stock went up like 5%, and everyone's saying, oh, he's just pumping the stock. But no. He turned out to be right. And he's not a type of investor to time the market. He doesn't do that. He just buys and holds for the long term, and then it works out. And in this case, it's definitely working out for him. He remains just as bullish as ever about Tesla stock. Jefferies analyst Philippe has raised his Tesla stock price target to $300, up from $195. He reiterates his hold rating, which in the long term is going to turn out a pretty big mistake. But actually, if you look at all of the analysts on TipRanks says that Philippe has the most accurate 12-month price target, historically speaking. This is based on data from about a year ago. It's probably still very similar. Generally speaking, yeah, when Tesla stock doesn't do crazy moves, he has turned out to be not too wrong. Less wrong than all other analysts on TipRanks, which is basically everyone from Wall Street. He says, assuming markets remain competitive, deregulation raises the company's growth path, but also the investment requirements for Tesla and competitors in ventures where returns remain unclear. I'll tell you this, if there's someone you do not want to go against, it's Elon Musk. And if you're going against Tesla, you're going against Elon Musk. You're just basically essentially betting against Elon Musk, and we know how that turns out. Morgan Stanley also just reiterated their Tesla bull case, which is a $500 12-month price target. Oh, I'm not sure if you want to see this. Jim Cramer, the guy that predicted that the other presidential candidate would win, says that Tesla is going higher. He says Trump will reward Elon Musk. Of course, we all like to dunk on Jim Cramer, but the reason why he does have a lot of attention on him is because he achieved a 24% average annual return over 14 years, and he routinely took home $10 million a year. So while historically he has made some bad calls, he does have a track record behind him of 14 years producing incredible returns, beating the market. But he's not beating Ron Barron. Ron Barron has a track record of 3 decades. Anyway, he says, Jim Cramer, the rally in Tesla, that one has legs. I'm telling you, I can't believe it wasn't up much more. For Trump, politics is personal. He will reward Elon Musk as much as he can, given the constraints of the law. Tesla does need some things. Musk wants full self-driving approval nationwide. You know what? Trump might push for interstate self-driving. Musk wants any break that unionized auto companies have. He can run the table against anyone in the space. This one goes higher. He says Tesla may be worth 2 to 3 trillion eventually, which would be basically a tripling from here. Currently, the average price target of Tesla stock on Wall Street is $238. Many of these should come higher, and I expect more of these unless Tesla just drops quickly from here. Also, I'm not sure if being called a more sensible bull by the Motorhead, who has you know, Gordon Johnson has made better arguments than this account on X, so I'm a bit surprised that Gary would take this endorsement from someone like that. But there's a huge difference between the Motorhead and Gordon Johnson. Gordon Johnson takes himself seriously. The Motorhead admits very publicly that he just poop posts about Musk and Tesla. So obviously, he's a troll. Gordon Johnson, he takes himself seriously. He doesn't say he's a troll. I'm looking at the mainstream media, and it feels like twice a day I see Dan Ives on TV talking about how Tesla stock is about to go to $600 per share. And you know, eventually it's going to happen. And the reason is because Tesla has a tremendously good team. And here we do get an insight in terms of how that works. This is an announcement from the Department of Government Efficiency, and Elon Musk made a personal comment about this as well. We are very grateful to the thousands of Americans who have expressed interest in helping us at DOGE. We don't need more part-time idea generators. We need super high IQ, small government revolutionaries willing to work 80 hours per week on unglamorous cost cutting. If that's you, DM this account with your CV. Elon and Vivek will review the top 1% of applicants themselves. So if you happen to be interested, feel free to DM that account on X. And Elon Musk commented on this. Indeed, this will be tedious work, make lots of enemies, and compensation is 0. What a great deal. Oh, and by the way, Dan Ives agrees with me that the $7,500 tax credit is being gone. That's bearish for the EV industry, but bullish for Tesla. Check this out. Elon Musk fires back to Elizabeth Warren. The Office of Government Efficiency is off to a great start with split leadership, 2 people to do the work of 1 person. Yeah, this seems really efficient. Elon Musk explains, unlike you, neither of us are being paid. So it is very efficient indeed. DOGE will do great things for the American people. Let history be the judge. Just like the billionaire Ron Barron, who is incredibly bullish on Tesla stock and believes that Tesla stock has so much more potential in the future, I also believe that Tesla stock in the long term is going to explode. It's going to at least $1,000 per share and then well beyond that. I can't wait for that day when we see Tesla stock trading at $1,000 per share. One day it is going to happen. My name is Matt Postius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video either later this week or early next week. Thank you so much.